Hello again. Unit 10, Module 10. This is Rich Malloy, and I wanted to review the Sunflower School District case study, apply it to the standards, and go through. The first place we were asked to begin was, what do we know? And what I thought about as I looked at the case study, the most important bit of information I gleaned from that, I think, from a superintendent, from a leadership standpoint, was the test scores that Superintendent Watkins pointed out, that 50% of the students were not proficient in reading and math. That was very understated, but I think that's critically important. Other things that we know. Well, I looked at the climate survey. I thought that was the second most important piece of information there, and it told me a lot. We have 37 teachers, 75% of whom grade the facilities at a C or less, and 45% were interested in leaving the district. Morale is obviously very, very bad. I would note right away as I look at this, and we take these climate surveys here as well, it's not a very productive measurement. It's a reactive measurement. It strikes me that where you have morale this low, you have folks who feel somehow rather disconnected from the process, from the decision process. They don't feel like they're a part of the environment. They argue as a group for better community involvement. They have a number of complaints involving small classrooms, neglected floors, the physical challenges of the building. They also have quite a lot to say. A third of them talk about being sick due to environmental aspects of the building. Bronchitis, sinus trouble, respiratory problems. Those are all challenges, weaknesses, threats. I would say a strength is 86% of these rather unhappy instructors would volunteer to be part of a plan to improve it, according to what they wrote. The final piece of information comes from the news clippings and the articles. When something is given anonymously, I imagine when you take a leadership position, not everybody loves you, and I think the information you get may not be all that kind. It does, however, give you an indication of community perception. There may be a kernel of truth in what they said. I don't care for how it was said, but we need to pursue those things. So what do we know? Well, what can we observe? Within the first week, I would meet with the principal and the custodians, talk about the maintenance staff and the schedules, things when the staff talks about neglected floors or infestations in the kitchen. We need to think about hygienic practices in terms of cleaning schedules. More importantly, what can we observe in terms of the facilities? And I think lead is an easy place to begin. Start to think about lead and lead paint. Check the water. I'd be interested, especially when I read about leaks, to find out what kind of shape the windows are in. Is that a threat for lead? I'm also interested in mold, and I think that's observable, so we can put that under the heading of things that we might be able to see. Can we observe the damage? It's noted. Can we take a picture of it? Is it related to leaks or perhaps humidity? Depends on, the environment. I'd look into that. I'm very concerned to find out if there's standing water in or outside the facility. Do our drains work? Does our drainage work? Two different questions. Where do we find standing water? One of the points quietly I'd make in the plan of action would be to make sure the drains have been cleaned. Now, what do we need to find out? Well, in that survey, climate survey talks about air quality, and mold is discussed, and things of that sort. We're talking about health risks. Makes me wonder, long range, if there's a liability issue. How sick are people? We need to check the air quality right away. We need to be concerned about water, cooling up, damage, drainage. Tied to both of those would be mold. If we're not managing our humidity, we have mold issues. If the air intake is bad, Air is going to be a problem. Obviously, standing water would also promote infestations. So we can see some of the four horsemen we talked about in the second module are present. People need to be included and not blamed. All staff need to be convened, go over those survey results, and it's the administrator's role to listen and maybe facilitate a discussion. Too often, in services or passive events where the staff really has nothing asked of them other than to sit in a room. Let's use it productively. What we need to look for, number two, is using staff talents and willingness to gain better use of the community. If you look at my plan, which is linked at the back of it, and I'll try to post it here along with this, I have every 2 months a community event housed at the school, hosted to bring people in, and there's a partnership that's an important part of what we're showing off. It's not just trotting the students out or showing the learning that goes on, but it's a matter of pride, it's a matter of including that community that seems so disengaged. So events in the fall. In October, I would start with a harvest festival, and I'll talk a little bit, I've got some ideas on that, but our science students from the grade school can work on planting. And part of this can be landscaping, and part of this might actually be a vegetable garden. We could partner with Second Harvest, is what we have here, the food pantries. 2 months later, I would look at, that's October, December. The one thing that we do around here, our middle school and high school students can have a Sumo contest using technology. Partner up with the hardware stores. Partner up with local computer vendors. In February, how about a music showcase, a midwinter concert of some sort, show off our theater. Partner up again with the community, maybe with some local theaters or something like that. I'm missing one, and I'll just keep moving rather than for the sake of brevity. Over the summer, I want to partner our reading program in our school library with the public library, have a reading contest, and I can tie that in to the homecoming game in the fall. The student that reads the most books can do the coin flip in front of all their friends and family and the community at the crowded game. That should be a thrill. Those reading more than 15 books can get 4 tickets to the state fair or whatever the venue nearby. My large expenditure in my plan of action is a new HVAC system. This will be discussed. This will be very public, obviously. And an HVAC system, it's been my experience, will require a new roof for the ductwork. I would choose to make it metal. I would also put my plan of action to reseal all the windows in year 1. By year 5, I want to replace all of the windows with gas-insulated windows. I'd probably go in 5 phases for that. And I would employ an automated ticket system so that it's real-time proactive. So how do we resolve this? Well, our HVAC system is an expense that's, one, going to control temperature efficiently, and with our humidity, control mold. We can rid our mold concerns, replace the air intake, which is toxic according to the what we watched earlier with the site visit. The roof is a 50-year roof per our campus dean. We have one here. I want to pitch it to drain better, eliminate leaks, and I want to reuse that water in a rain barrel system for that horticulture program. Again, I think we can teach the students to be responsible, which would be, I believe, standard 5 off the top of my head. So in the first year, better student results in attendance. I know in Wisconsin, attendance means quite a bit in terms of funding. Standard number 2, better collaboration between the community and the school. Right there in standard number 1. Better, more involved community support using the school. Standards 5 and 6, I would like better data collection. I believe that better attendance is going to result in better reading scores. If the students aren't in school, they're not learning something, we can reevaluate that. So brief, I want to consider the standards and focus upon shared management, focus upon listening to the experts. So I'm probably going to want somebody to come in and do some tuck pointing, looking for leaks. I'm interested in the drain system. Make sure that works. That's an issue that sometimes is kicked down the road a little bit. I'm interested in training in our food service area. Make sure that we're cleaning and storing, taking care of all of our materials. Make sure our storage is safe. The HVAC can pay for itself, especially in better student attendance and scores. Wisconsin and the Wisconsin Technical College system funds itself tied to achievement and attendance. The roof eliminates leaks and water damage. Again, low maintenance. A metal roof done right will support itself. The windows remain a long-term project. Can the HVAC savings pay for that? And better community involvement is huge because eventually we're going to need these people. They run this town, they run this community, and we're going to need to ask them for help. My full case study found at a link above. And as I think about the way that I'm trying to see where my time is here, the way that we talked about it, I think the leader takes in the legal ramifications of the liability, people getting sick. I think the lost hours, work days, are an expense that we can try to eliminate. I think there's a great deal in terms of public policy, and I think we reach out. I have a health team with the nurse, with teachers from the elementary, the high school area, as well as the social worker, evaluating and working with our health department to try and evaluate where our risks are and how we're managing them and how it's affecting and correlates to student achievement. Thank you so much. Start this thing. Start it.